Okay. Hello, we are here at Meet Magento, Florida. I know you missed us, and I'm joined today by the amazing Noah Okenberg. Noah, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
I'm just trying to, avoid like eating all of your cookies all at once right here. And
I know. They look delicious, don't they?
they do. And this whole setup's amazing too. I love bringing the tea kettle.
Yeah, I know. Well, I wanted my guests to feel at home when they came here, and there's nothing more comforting than a hot cup of tea, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me pour you one, because here we go.
All right.
Yes.
Is this a Hello Moxie thing that you take on the road with you, or is it just a Meet Magento Florida unique?
No, this is the start of something bold and exciting. So yeah. So thanks for joining me. What are you? So first of all, I have to tell you guys, Noah and I, man, you were the one that introduced me to this community. How long has it been? Like a year and a half ago or something like that?
Yeah, like maybe 2.5 years, a year and a half. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like that.
And really, you saved my tail because we had a keynote that wasn't fell through, pretty close to showtime for Meet Magento
3
New York.
weeks. 3 weeks before.
Yeah, and
so
amazing.
it was my lucky break.
Yeah, I mean, for all of us, like the win-wins. Like those were that was definitely one.
Yeah, you were probably sweating.
I mean, yeah.
I remember when you emailed me and you were like, "Hey, do you want to be the keynote speaker?" I thought you were playing a joke on me. For
Would
real.
I do that?
I was like, "Noah, he has it in him. He would mess with me this way." And then I got on the phone with you and I was like, "Oh no, he's for real. He really needs some help."
Yeah, it was perfect.
So yeah, but that was so fun.
It was great. And you were perfect for it. And you rocked it.
I loved it. And plus I got to be introduced to this amazing community who I just, I can't say enough great things about this wonderful community. They're so inclusive and supportive and collaborative. And it's been really, really great. There's a lot of great people. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I will just have to thank the person who bombed out on you at the last minute.
Right, yeah.
Whoever that person was. Thank you, whoever bombed out. I'm so glad you did.
Yeah. We'll omit that from the record, but no, it was fine, and there was a really legit reason. Too,
I'm sure.
But you know what you mentioned about the community is true, because you don't have to be here for a long time. You just have to show you care and put in the effort and the work, and that's what's kind of respected and embraced. Versus maybe folks they've just been around forever, so you got to keep earning your stripes in this community too. You can't just live on a namesake. The contribution. And the time that you invest is really what counts.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, cool. Well, what are you... So our podcast, we talk all about women in history and the women who've inspired you. And so I would love to hear from you. Who is a woman that's inspired you, Noah?
Women that inspired me? Well, we are actually a women-owned company as well. I'm 1/3 of it. And so the other 2/3 are very inspirational women. I mean, on a daily basis, hourly basis sometimes. We get to work together with Erin Hunt, who's around here, and Marisol Garcia, who is also our CFO and is also my wife. And so, just to be able to see the dynamics that we have. I mean, our engineering manager is a woman. To have a company that kind of breaks the mold in some cases. I'm a guy, there's no knock on guys, but it's just when people have different lived experiences and they have different, perspectives based on, all the different factors that make us unique. But women bring, their own special brand of, leadership and ingenuity and problem solving. And it's lovely just to be able to partake in that on a daily basis, to see that. So it inspires me constantly.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I think, it's so great to have that presence on the executive team, to have women in those positions. Yeah. And I think it's amazing that you've made that a priority. I was talking with someone earlier about anyone who's in a position of influence and power really should be very intentional about making sure they're bringing in diverse voices, not just women, but all different kinds of experiences, religious backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. It's so important for innovation. So what have you noticed most about having some women in your executive team?
I mean, I guess you do need to be intentional about it, what you said, but also sometimes it just happens more organically when you have the people already there, right? So when we were born as a woman-owned company, and it wasn't hey, we should bring in some women to make this, so we were there. It was Erin, Madi, and I started it. And so, that's in itself, it's a sort of, I don't know, like kind of a beacon of leadership. It sets a bar that, other women can or say, hey, wow, this is great. I understand that like some of the challenges that we've had in male dominated workspaces, we know we're not going to have those here, particularly. I mean, anything can happen, but still I've seen that sort of understanding happen, amongst a workforce, which kind of opens us up to not being so pigeonholed. You have an environment that doesn't have people in leadership that are representative of, all the diversity of everything that you were mentioning, then people don't get attracted to that, and like, I can never find, well, I'd love to employ women, but I don't know where the women are that want to work. Well, maybe that's because they're not looking for you, because you're not.
Yes.
So it can be maybe difficult to get that started, but like, that's where the work is worth it. And like what you mentioned, for me, just to be able to see how that attracts more talent to humans and women that otherwise I probably never would have been able to interact with. So
yeah, that's true. That is really cool. If you can see it, you can be it. And so I think it's really great that you have that built in so that it's attracting other really amazing, awesome, talented women to join forces with your team. So, yeah, very cool.
And the industry needs it, we also work in heavy equipment manufacturing, and I work on the workforce solutions task force over there. And one of the issues like in that world is kids want to grow up and design websites and do marketing and be software engineers. There's this lack of like technicians and like welders and the skilled folks that do that stuff, because it's just more and more nobody wants to do that. But then you look at the demographics of the labor and the workforce in that industry, and it's like 98% men. I'm like, I wonder if there's somewhere we could find, people that want to do this job and are capable. Like, I just don't get it, So that's why I'm saying like industries need that. It's not just like hey, let's do the right thing or whatever, it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beyond every other layer that it brings.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, what are you most like when you think ahead and you're thinking about like what you're looking forward to with e-commerce? What's on the horizon? What are you most excited about?
For the industry itself, for where we're going as a company.
Industry. Both.
I mean, it kind of is. It's kind of similar, but really how things are becoming more seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right way? Seamlessness, yeah. So
that's a word.
Yeah,
seamlessness.
But I feel like how the different pieces. I was just sitting in a roundtable discussion at lunch with some folks that signed up for that, and around a lot of the topics were like how to get the extension marketplace like in a better place, more accessible, easier to use, easier to submit, easier to find stuff. How to get features that are part of the Adobe Commerce, also in Magento open source, to have more of a seamless, like all the different partners. We're constantly looking at integrating multiple different business systems, and there's e-commerce platforms like Shopify that try to be the SaaS all in one, and that's what people want in life. Like, we have so much crap going on in our daily lives that like trying to manage like multiple different vendors and multiple different platforms and multiple different tools is really hard, because you've been on that side of the equation, and it's just and so
it is hard finding that balance, I think, right? Because, especially in B2B, there's so much complexity. It's so hard to fit all that complexity into a SaaS solution sometimes.
Right.
But then the trade-off is that, with that complexity, and when you have so much customization, there's trade-offs there. It can be harder and more to maintain that, right? So it's like how you find that balance is important. But yeah, there does seem to be a much stronger appetite for SaaS these days. I think people think it's just like the easier way to move forward. So like, how are you addressing that with clients that maybe have a lot of complexity? Are you working with them to just like maybe recommend they adjust their workflows a little bit more so that it fits into the SaaS model? Or do you lean more on the set side of things where, you want to customize it specifically to what their business use case is? Like, how do you usually tackle that problem?
And so you got to start by breaking down like the narrative that us sales folks have created that doesn't exactly paint the full picture, because platforms want to sell like we're the easy button, we're all in one, and that's great. I don't knock it. That's our job in business development and sales, to kind of have a thought in people's mind of what something is. It's like, they'll come in and say like, there's a platform like Salesforce Commerce Cloud who Salesforce acquired Demandware, and they're like, hey, look, we have this like platform where you get your CRM and your e-commerce and everything all in one. But the reality is there's still like some people will come in and say, hey, I want that easy button. What they don't know is like there's still disparate systems in the back end, and like kind of you got to start by deconstructing that narrative, and sometimes it's impossible because they're just like, but no, I know it's an easy button. And my cousin Susie sells like T-shirts, and it was so easy to roll up that shop.
If only it was that simple,
yeah, and I'm like,
right?
Like you're making like commercial grade air filtration systems that you sell out to like other businesses.
You can't ship that stuff parcel,
Yeah, so it's there's a couple differences in the business.
Yes, so true, especially when you have custom price books and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so it's both. So you got to start by sort of breaking down that narrative to make sure people actually really know what they're looking at, that there is no one thing. If your business is, like you said, in B2B is so much more unique. And that's primarily who we work with, is B2B and manufacturing and distribution. And like the one commonality is that everyone's different. Because everyone
is different. Like even in the same industry.
Yeah. Like
completely different.
I want what they got. I'm like, but that's, you don't know what you just like. Control C, Control V. Yeah.
I think what you're highlighting is just there's such a knowledge gap, especially in these legacy B2B companies who they don't know e-commerce, and so. And the people that do know e-commerce like you that are experts, it's so hard sometimes to bridge that gap, and help them understand. It takes a lot of time and patience.
But that's our job, and we got to get better at doing that. That's what we're tasked for. That's why people would hire us versus not. And so like, it's we got to get better at that. And I think that's also there's two sides to it. Breaking down the narrative that there is no easy button in this stuff, but also working really hard to make it as much of an easy button as possible at the same time, because we're all consumers and we all have busy lives and we all like want it. A lot of the pushback is coming from these years of working with Magento and platforms that are going to that are a lot more wieldy. I know there's unwieldy. Is there wieldy? Yeah. But they're
pretty unwieldy sometimes.
Right. Or unwieldy. Yeah. But it's like,
is anything wieldy these days? I feel like everything's unwieldy, especially in B2B, right? Like
that's the next topic. What's wieldy? No, but I mean, people have like had it. We had somebody recently that got hacked because they hadn't done a version upgrade in a long time, and it's
and then do that with Magento,
and they're now going to another platform because of that.
Wow.
Whereas, I mean, we built them. I mean, these were. Anyway, there's a lot of really good stuff you can do, and people can move away from the right platform because of something like that. It's understandable, right? It's like, I get it, it feels like a lot. I got to keep up with these upgrades every so often. It's going to cost this much, versus like it just happens. Like, oh, there's no version of Shopify. Boom, it's there. But then they also want to have these complex solutions.
Workflows, custom price books, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so that's what we got to figure out. And that's what I'm excited about, is that I think people have been putting thought into that for a while now because consumers have been demanding it. The users of these platforms have been demanding this, and folks like Shopify started that narrative. And even if it wasn't true entirely, just the fact that they're pushing that narrative, the same reason Amazon pushes, same day deliveries and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe that's not possible and it hurts other small businesses, but it does make us change what we're trying to solve. And so there's a lot of smart people out there. And they're they're like, all right, well, people are demanding this, and let's figure out how to,
especially I think now we're seeing such a rise in B2B e-commerce, right? And so it's kind of forcing the market to address those challenges because more B2B companies are saying, hey, I want to sell this way now. I'm ready to start doing this. And that they jump into it, and it's a bear. And so how can we break down that complexity for them and create, solutions for them that make it work, because B2B is so different than B2C in so many ways.
It is. So, I mean, there's a whole like B2B is the same as B2C movement, and I get it where that comes from. There are like, as far as like when you're talking about it's just people that you're dealing with, ultimately, yes, it's person to person, but that's not
it's not. I mean, I went into it thinking, B2C, we just put some SKUs up and set up a shopping cart and have fixed pricing, and man, the money's just gonna roll in.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way.
Wait, what?
Dang, it's not like selling shoes. Oh, shoot.
Well, and again, it's back to how you sell this stuff. And if people are selling it like that, then people believe it. And so there's a responsibility of people that are selling these platforms, selling the, the integrations and stuff like that, that they're being realistic and
So
setting those
true.
expectations accurately. Because otherwise, everyone's like, well, Joe said I could get the easy button.
Yeah.
Why can't you get me the easy button?
So true. And really like taking the time to understand the business. I think
Yes.
the clients, especially in B2B, they really respect and trust you more if you like know the ins and outs and the intricacies of their operations. Because B2B is B2B e-commerce is so operational.
100%.
So much more than marketing, right? Yep. I mean, marketing's still an important part of that, but so much of it is how can we create a more frictionless customer experience through the whole process.
Right.
So that's more of the challenging part with B2B than B2C, I think.
Manufacturers are used to figuring out all the places they can tighten the screw to make things efficient.
Yes.
They might not have experience in the e-commerce world as proportionate to, consumer packaged goods or something like that, but they absolutely have the experience in business because that's how they've been able to stay afloat and grow and stay alive. Is those efficiencies. And so you have to be able to, you're not selling them e-commerce.
Yeah,
you're just simply translating what all the work they've already put into and how that works through a digital channel.
Exactly. It's not e-commerce, it's commerce, right?
Yeah,
it's commerce.
Yeah, that's right. There's also no hyphen in e-commerce, but that's a whole nother debate.
I know. Is it e-commerce with a capital C?
Yeah.
Or e-commerce with a lowercase c? Like, what's the rules? Noah, tell us.
First of all, I don't think people argue about this enough. I think people need to argue about this more because it's a really important thing to argue about. Yeah.
There's so many topics to be talking about, World War III, Ukraine. But let's talk about how e-commerce should be spelled. Hyphen or no hyphen?
I mean, maybe this is the answer to world peace.
It's really annoying. And when it autocorrects me to the hyphen, I'm really pissed off.
Me too.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's not e-commerce with a hyphen.
Right. How are you going to autocorrect me wrong?
Exactly. Right? Jeez.
No, so here's why I think. Because there's no hyphen in email. And there's no capital M in email.
Yes.
It's just a word.
Who made this up?
Right.
You know what? We need to solve this problem.
Yeah.
That's our mission.
Yeah. I mean, I think, once this gets unlocked and cohesion forms around this, everything else in this planet will fall into place.
Yes.
World hunger, world wars, I think.
It'll all work itself out.
Start small.
To solve that. Yeah. Little steps, baby steps. Well, Noah, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for grabbing me.
Yeah, this will be so fun. So you're officially, I don't know if I told you, but you are live. So you're live in case you knew, and you did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And listeners, thanks so much for tuning in. This is the amazing Noah. He's fantastic. We're so grateful that you came on, and thanks for all you do for the Magento community and all you do for B2B companies, helping them move to e-commerce. It is no small feat.
No.
It's no small feat at all.
You know it firsthand.
Yes, we both know.
Cool.
So thank you. Enjoy your tea.
Thank you. Yes, beautiful living room.
Yes. And you know what?
Breakfast nook, maybe.
So this is our lovely Hello Moxie swag bag for our listeners. Okay, and we even have a book. You can give it to Mark.
Okay. All right.
This is a book of our first 10 guests that came on the show. It's pretty cool, and you got a pen in there and all that fun stuff. So thank you for being a guest.
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't even know I was going to get some cool swag to go with it. I would have definitely,
Well, since you didn't take a cookie, you get the bag. So
perfect.
Anyway,
and Marty will be here shortly too.
Oh, cool. So. Well, can she come over? I'd love to have her.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. She'll be here. Might be after everything's shut down.
She'll be at the after party. I'll catch her there then.
The important stuff: dinner and dancing.
Exactly. Right by the pool. You can't miss that.
For sure.
I wish we could be live at the pool party. That would be the best. But yeah.
That's under.
Then we can catch Noah dancing and drinking. That would be that would be really the best part.
Maybe I was thinking about jumping off of that bridge into the pool.
Oh, you would do that. You totally would do that. I could see it. I could see you doing a flip off that bridge.
No, I'm not the flip guy.
You're not the flip guy.
I'd flip and I'd probably belly flop and rupture something. So
I don't know. I thought of you as a flip guy, but all right.
Yeah.
We'll see. No, you're the e-commerce with no hyphen guy.
Right. But the name with a hyphen, which they did not put on my badge.
They did not. That is shocking.
Yeah, it's
That's surprising.
I'm thinking of dropping it anyway.
Are you really?
Yeah. Credit cards hate it.
Yeah,
airline
I
carriers
can imagine
hate
it's an annoying thing.
They always tell me I'm an invalid character.
Yeah, but I think that's cool. That says a lot about your parents. Sounds like your mom was a pretty progressive woman.
Yeah, they were in the first sort of round of the hyphenators. I feel like maybe a little bit past that, but there was an era that kind of kicked off the hyphenators. So, but you
are a child hyphenator. That's great. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. All right, let's go see who else we can round up that will come Hello, we're back. I am here with Aaron Moss. Aaron, how are you?
Very good. Thank you very much for asking. A little bit elated from doing our talk a few moments ago.
It's always a great feeling when you're done, right?
Yeah.
Beforehand, it's always a little stressful. And then you get up there, and I don't know, I love the energy of being up there and on stage.
And it's processing the adrenaline and just kind of like, woo, what next? So just like, and then the rest of the day, more talks and some fun again.
Yeah, very good. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you and your talk today, what you were talking about?
Okay, yeah. So we presented this time last year our first open source initiative project, which is an open source point of sale for Magento. It was inspired by Meet Magento 2023, in fact, and this amazing community and the collaboration and discussions with our peers and other tech companies and the rest of the community at events like this that really gave us the idea to produce a product that we would launch as an open source product. This year we relaunched it, a version 2, based on discussions and great feedback we had after our talk in 2024. And we've just been so inspired to, with the energy at this event, to keep developing new products as the tech gets easier and more empowering to work with, and fantastic tech like Hoover, which I'm sure almost every person knows about and mentions. It feels like we're in a resurgence. That was I don't know if it was Jacob Winkler who wrote a LinkedIn article about and used the Renaissance term 6 months ago. Yeah, Magento is alive and back.
Magento is alive. Where did it go?
I think it just took a few years out and just took a little bit of respite as the community readjusted for a second phase, as the market and the customer demands changed and SaaS products came along, and
those SaaS products, right? They're taking such a hold in the States.
Yeah, and however, I think now there's maybe a bite back is the wrong term.
Boomerang, maybe kind of.
There's the open source community now can understand that it can take the goodness and the success points from the SaaS model and actually roll them into this ecosystem anyway and get the best of both worlds.
Still have the flexibility.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
But with restraint and more considered decisions, not to over optimize, not to over customize the platform. So
which is always the challenge, right?
Absolutely,
how much to customize versus how much do you want to close that and make it as simple as possible for people, right?
Ironically, we have more discussions now with prospects. I spoke to one 10 minutes ago. Said we have 80 extensions. First, we want less. We want to go through a simplification process to reduce and go back to basics to make the most out of the platform and make more considered decisions to customize when it matters and the customer will see the value.
Yeah, and I just have to say, I just love the Magento brand because there's such an ethos of collaboration and open-mindedness. It's like the open source way. It's like, if there's a way to do it better, let's all work together and figure it out. We're going to support each other and we're going to build. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing that will never die. Yeah. It will never die. There's always going to be a place for it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And it's important to have, like, let's be honest, we don't, like, wouldn't it be a terrible world if Shopify was just the only option out there? That'd be a very sad. It would
be very, very sad. And I would probably say that 50% of the discussions that I've personally had today with other agencies and providers is actually being about what they're going to do next with open source product development and just actually
getting more involved in that process.
Using their successes that we are currently seeing now in this resurgence of interest in the platform, doing their part to deliver additional open source products to broaden the market and the opportunities for merchants that want to consider Magento once again.
Very exciting. Would you like some tea?
I would love some tea.
Good. I love. Here, pick your tea. And then while you're picking your tea and I pour your cup, I'd love to talk about, so on our podcast, we talk about women, and it's all about the women in history who've inspired them. So I'd love to learn if there's a woman in your life or someone who's inspired you that's a woman. If you could share a little bit about her.
Okay, so
I'm putting you way on the spot, you know?
Well, yeah, it's a very easy answer. There is only one answer.
Oh.
So Lucy, my wife, who's just sat over there.
Oh my gosh, we got to have her over.
So she will be terrified. She's watching us probably now on the phone, thinking, "Oh my God, please don't come over." And so she probably want to stay in the background. However, in terms of inspiration, for me as a person, and
Do you want some honey?
no, I'm all right.
That's
Thank
okay.
you very much.
Yeah.
And also, my wife has been in retail. With her own business for almost 20 years, fashion retail.
On. That's so cool.
And she
Love that.
she sold that business last year. However,
What a baller.
we're in the process of relocating and moving to Orlando.
Really?
Yeah.
From where?
From Manchester in the UK.
Oh, that's a
Cold.
big move.
It's cold and grey. So we fell in love with Orlando in Florida
Yeah.
5 years
it's a
ago.
lovely place.
We bought a property
Are you Disney
out here.
people?
We are, yes.
Yeah, right on. Who
It's,
doesn't love Disney, right?
It's respite and relaxation from a otherwise very
Hectic.
technical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
You need that Disney magic to break up the
Yeah.
challenges sometimes that can happen in e-commerce. It's moving so quickly.
It takes you away from the tech and
Yeah.
allows you to reflect sometimes, which is really, really important, and gives you family time. And you're really busy doing other things, in the parks.
Yeah.
But no, we've just fallen in love with the culture and the sun and everything that Orlando and Florida has to offer. So we're going through the process of the visa applications at the moment, and we got married 3 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh!
Been engaged for almost 20 years in order
Aaron,
to
I gotta give you a
facilitate-
hug for that. That's exciting. Congratulations. That's so cool.
and I was 50 yesterday.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Would you like a cookie?
I'm actually all right. Thank you very much.
All right. I have
so-
some chocolate too.
Yes, going back to the original question.
Yeah.
Lucy has been my cornerstone in support. She's here to support me with this event, which is something that we step out of our comfort zone as a dedicated development team. It's tough to get up on stage, but it's also very, very rewarding, and we get lots of support from everyone else here, and it's very encouraging. I'd encourage anyone to do it.
I agree.
You get so much out of it. It's so fulfilling, however terrifying in the build-up. Afterwards it's...
I completely agree. It's so worth it. So that's been my experience too. Like the first time I ever did a public speaking engagement, it was as a keynote speaker, which was like terrifying.
Yeah.
I had like 3 weeks to prepare my keynote. Oh my gosh, Aaron, I thought I was going to poop my pants. But anyway, it ended up being the most wonderful experience. And that's so much. I think that's the thing. When you do a speaking engagement, you meet so many people and you really get to connect with them in a different way.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it's just that connection and the energy that you get from the people. It's really special, the relationships that come from it.
And you learn a lot because you're
Yes.
looking outward at material and content and what other people in the industry are saying. We're learning about new terms in this industry when we're developing the point of sale system. We looked out into the retail industry and investigated the marketplace and the opportunities there as we combine these two traditionally independent retail channels, and we threw e-commerce and the point of sale experience together, and it was so exciting.
Very exciting and such an important innovation.
We hope so. It's certainly very encouraging, the conversations we've had. So we will see. We will see what happens in the rest of 2025.
Yeah, well, it's lovely to hear about just how you and your wife support each other. It sounds like I can hear the wonderful admiration you have for her and her business and her selling her business and how she just shows up for you in the same way. What are some things you would advise to, and I think the Magento community in general is really good about supporting women and being allies to women. What would your advice be to other men about how they can be allies to women? What have you seen that's really been successful? What do you think that's already happening that's going well, and maybe areas for that to maybe improve?
That's a really tough question. I know there's the initiative that Marcia brings to this event, and the Meet Women, Women in E-commerce. I think we're young at heart as a business, and we don't see really any difference.
Love that. You don't think about it.
No, I don't think. I mean, there are obviously efforts by businesses and organisations to ensure that there is the diversity, with cultures and so on. But we just see beyond that now. I think we almost don't bring the discussion up because we see that things are levelling out in a sense. I think it's about the individual and the values that individual brings, and we just see through it as meaningful relationships with other individuals, really regardless of gender and race, and culture.
I love that. That's beautiful. Wonderful.
Tough question.
I know. I gave you a doozy there, and you were totally up for the challenge. So, okay. So I'm trying to, I got it. Oh my gosh, we're live, and and now I'm like, oh, what question am I going to ask Aaron next? How do you like your tea? Is it
It's
good?
lovely, yeah. It really is lovely.
Oh, good.
I am a tea drinker, but I don't often traditional British tea.
Oh, okay. You're an Earl Grey.
Yes.
Or the what's
Tetley.
Oh, okay. All right. What do they call it? What do they call the tea that you have? Is it breakfast? Something? What's the British tea that you have? It's breakfast tea. It's not Earl Grey. It's something else. No, I'm totally stumped, Aaron.
Mine is a complete blank, I think.
That's
today.
okay.
It'll come to me later.
It's like the end of a long. Well, anyway, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure to meet you and connect with you. Congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
And all the work that you're doing. It's very exciting. So
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference, and hopefully I'll see you at the pool. Maybe we'll see you dancing by the band.
And the water slide,
Yeah, on the water. That'll be awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. I'm gonna go find our next culprit. All right, so I'm gonna give You're live on LinkedIn and YouTube right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so anything that you say can and will be used and held against you in a court of law. So be very careful what you say.
It's 2025. Everything that we say is all on the record now.
It's so true, right? Absolutely. Well, go ahead. Here's our tea selection. So I'm just going to pour Robert a little glass of tea here for before we get started. So here's our selection of tea.
So this is a big decision that I have to make here. I'm
we've
going to
got-
be judged harshly
We've
on
got bedtime. Are you ready for sleep?
it. I am not. No.
Maybe some stress relief. Is this causing you some stress? Maybe that might help you.
No, I'm at
Or
a
do you
Meet
want
Magento event. I'm not stressed today.
Wow.
This
Do
is
you want
good.
some positive energy, or do you've already gotten enough of that?
No, I think positive energy. I could always use a little extra.
What about some blueberry slim life? Do you want blueberry slim life?
Now, I mean, I will take the hint, but no, the positive energy sounds
That
like
sounds
exactly
good?
what
Okay.
I need today.
Positive energy for Robert. Okay, so we'll give you lots of that. So you know, some sweet tangerine. So very
Well, we are
good.
in the Sunshine State, so
We are, right?
citrus.
You can never have enough of that. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing better than coming to Florida in the middle of February. I don't know where you're from, Robert, but
I'm actually I'm originally a New Yorker, but I've lived in Florida for a long time, and so Florida citrus. If you'd like to support this effort,
we're going to give you a nice plug. All right. We love our Florida oranges. It's amazing. So, oh my goodness. Here we are. We're live. We're coming at you from Meet Magento, Florida. I love this event. This is my second time coming here to this event. I spoke last year about 5 phases of change and change management, and then we just did a workshop yesterday. It was so fun. So, Robert, I would love for you to tell our listeners, who are you? And give us a little summary of who is Robert? Tell us about you. Besides the fact that you like positive energy,
yeah.
Tell us a little more.
How long do we have? Are we going to be here a few hours?
we have as long as you
and
want. You know.
Do I get to submit my insurance so that at least you get something for this therapy session? And I'll give you some background. So I'm Robert Rand. I head up partnerships and alliances at a company called iPass.com. iPass stands for Integration Platform as a Service, and so we focus on helping, in this case, in this room, merchants to get all their key data flowing between all of their different software systems, their ERP, CRM, point of sale, e-commerce, product information management, shipping, marketing, etc. Modern platform for doing it faster, easier, more elegantly, bringing accountability to the whole process and
Beautiful middleware, right?
Yeah, right.
Beautiful. We love middleware.
That's what we do. But if you're asking about me, I mean, the story goes back. I mean, I finally turned 21 this weekend.
All right, congratulations. What's it like to be 21? I haven't reached that milestone yet. I'm still 18. So tell me, what's it like to be of drinking age?
Well, it was a little rough at the bar last night. These tech conferences that who knew that a bunch of techies really knew how to throw a few back.
Oh, they do. They do.
We got to host a networking event last night over at the Davidoff Cigar Bar with one of our partners, Improntus, one of the Adobe Commerce agencies that's here at the conference. But I actually came out of that space and spent about a decade helping to build up a digital agency that specialized in design development and digital marketing. And graduated from that. We sold the agency in 2017 and exited. Thank you.
That's an exciting milestone.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. As I said, bringing brands like Swiss Gear and Invicta watches into e-commerce, being the digital agency for groups like the Florida Panthers hockey team. It was, you get all those accolades at the time. The Inc. 5000 and Google Premier Partner, and you're doing all these things. But really, what you're doing, which I love connecting with all of the people at conferences like this. You're working a lot of long days and nights for organizations that want to be at the cutting edge, that want to have that latest round of technology, be part of the latest social media, and sometimes the big brand names, the well-known organizations. So that you're one small vendor, you're a cog in the machine, but often it's the businesses, the organizations you've never heard of, where the stories are the most interesting, where you're so integral to their organization, manufacturers and distributors, sometimes making products that, that help all of us, get through our days. And, you've never heard of them, but, sometimes they're doing a huge, volume of business, big revenue, and their needs are just as important, and the same with regional players and retailers and others along the space. And so I went from there to being involved with an integration platform and then a web hosting company for many years, and joined the team here at iPass.com about a year and a half ago.
Amazing.
And it's been a lot of fun helping build up the next.
Quite the journey. I think it's really exciting to be in the space to just see like there's just constant change happening, and it's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it might feel a little bit overwhelming, but it also is just so nice. It's nice to be a part of it because it's always something new happening. It never gets old or static, right? Like there's always new and better ways of doing things, of helping customers, and and in the B2B space, as we see that market continuing to grow in terms of the amount of revenue that's being sold through e-commerce, and companies finally starting to adopt in the B2B space. What you're doing is so critical because there's such a need for really solid middleware solutions for these complex B2B companies that have, big tech stack that needs to be integrated.
And I was saying to Paula a few minutes ago that when you look at these kinds of organizations, the market has evolved very rapidly. Yeah. And so they used to send out catalogs. They used to fax in orders at trade shows, as the different companies would come and place orders there. And this is all evolved that, inventory is real time, orders are flowing in more real time. They're not faxing it over. They don't want to call and have to ask what's available and when. It's all at our fingertips, and everyone is used to having that. Maybe it's instant gratification. Maybe it's just efficiency and simplicity of, hey, you go to Amazon or whatever it may be, and 1, 2, 3, you're getting what you need. And so I think continuing to make that available and scalable even to organizations that are more complex, that is where there's still real opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah.
Most retailers and direct to consumer and what have you, that they made the technological leap, a few years ago, certainly, during lockdowns and things when, retail brick and mortar wasn't exactly the place to go and trade shows weren't. But there's still so many markets and so many opportunities to not only further digitize but to optimize the experience. So I run into a lot of businesses where they're just scratching at making that user experience for the buyer what they're hoping. And so, for instance, with retail, being able to deal with the buy online, pick up in store, having gift cards that you can use in store and online, in just the same way, unifying the data, the loyalty points, same thing, that shoppers don't want to be siloed in these different data systems and what have you, that they don't understand the difference, nor should they have to. And so better democratizing that, making the technology available so you don't have to be Walmart or Target or some huge company in order to offer that kind of an experience. But I'd say the same with B2B. Last week I was out at Acumatica Summit in Las Vegas, and we help integrate data with all these different ERPs, and that's a fun one.
Yeah.
And and just seeing how organizations are trying to figure out what they can achieve, and almost sometimes they don't always fully embrace until they're dealing with the headaches that come along with it, that they're now data companies, and that their data and being able to deal with how they're handling products, how they're handling orders, how they're handling customers across channels, across systems has become part of the lifeblood of growth and success. And sometimes it's as simple as getting the point of sale or ERP or whatever other software communicating with the marketing stack, and so you can send email and SMS and what have you.
Segment it very
based on
not
only what did they buy in e-commerce. They're omni-channel.
Often wherever they're buying, it may not be. That's so important. Well, I'd love to learn more about you've been in the e-commerce space for quite a while. So our platform is really all about how can we empower women to speak up more, use their voices, and what have you seen shift over the last, however long you've been in the industry in terms of women's role in tech? Because it's been pretty male dominated, especially in the e-commerce space. Have you noticed a shift there, first of all, as my first question? And what do you think men can do to be stronger allies for women so that more women speak up and or move into the tech space?
So it's interesting that I remember being at the Googleplex probably closer to maybe 2015, 2016, where they brought, some of their more active partners together to talk about that. And obviously there's evolution in the years since, but one of the things that they pointed out was that even with the right programs to try to make sure that they were tapping into the complete workforce,
Yes.
and getting different people involved, that if they waited until they were looking for who made it through college for different engineering at the time, it was too late. And so, they had to go back a step and say, look, let's try to, get people toward the high school level and figure out, where can we spur this interest and make sure that they're getting engaged in these programs, that they feel like it's for them, and that it's interesting, and kind of like, girls play with dolls and boys play with cars and things like that, and Legos, and from what Google shared, that didn't work either. They had to go younger, and to that very point, to basically, now you have Lego sets that appeal to a much wider range of children, and that aren't really just targeted toward boys or whatever segment, and that, I think that there's a lot of that thought process about, how do we bring this to people in a way where everybody can participate, and it's exciting and it's interesting. And so in my time in tech, I know I'm only 21 and all, but I've seen a marked shift where you're seeing more people that have come through the educational process, more people that have started at more entry levels,
Younger
and
ages.
now at this point, because they've been in these companies, now they're in a place to lead and to create their own companies, and to become leaders of existing ones, and so on and so forth. And I think that for me, that a lot of it really is not forgetting that it's not just about who we're trying to hire from the available workforce, but making sure, and who we're trying to empower from the existing workforce, but trying to make sure that we're paying it forward, and we're making sure that it's very open and exciting for others, for the next generation and the next, and that some of these things take longer than we realize.
Yes, I think that's such a great point. Several of the women we interviewed today actually said they got their degrees in literature. Isn't that fascinating?
That is
and
extremely
then they
fascinating.
ended up becoming software engineers. So I found that very fascinating. That a lot of times that shift has happened later for women, and wouldn't it be more amazing, to your point? And I think we're starting to see that the more they get educated at a younger age, they may make those decisions younger, and that might make more women decide that this is a good path for them.
And I think it's also, we've seen changes. It used to be that either you were you learned on your own, that you were tinkering, or you went into a degree program and spent a lot of time and effort to get somewhere. Now there are, there's so many online training programs. There's code camps to do these things in person. It doesn't take as long to bridge that gap and get into tech. But also, when we're thinking about tech in general, that, there is no training, to my knowledge, there is no major, in a university to be an e-commerce expert.
Yeah,
or
true.
For a lot of these things that we're dealing with. And so you can break in different areas of, sales and account management and project management and all these things, where you can get some certifications in a reasonable amount of time. You can learn on the job in many cases, and you can get involved and keep growing and learning. And I think in many ways, you talk about, certain areas where there's lifelong learning, and medicine, things are always coming out, and we say, you're practicing medicine, it's not exactly a perfect science, that it's evolving. And I would say the same in tech, that if you aren't keeping up with what's coming down the pike and continually learning and expanding, you are eventually making yourself in many cases obsolete. And so it is something where it's not always as hard to break in, because there's a need for the newest skills that not everybody has yet. And I think that those are some of the things that people sometimes maybe don't realize, that there are a number of on-ramps that don't necessarily involve coming with some kind of history or pedigree, but that you can break in, and that's always exciting when it comes to technology.
So it's almost like having this mindset of like constant learning and just getting your feet wet and just jumping into things. I mean, I met with a gentleman yesterday who said that he learned how to code in Magento because he was working in-house for, I don't know, it was like some dealership, automotive dealership, and their Magento developer basically messed up the site, and then the next day decided not to come back to work, left. The site was down, and his boss came to him. He had no development expertise. His boss said, I need you to fix this website, otherwise you don't have a job. And so he basically had to figure it out. And I thought that was, and now he's like owns his own agency 15 years later. I think that's a great example for women. Just jump in and get your feet wet wherever you can. If you don't have a formal degree, that shouldn't stop you, because as we met the women we talked to earlier, they both had degrees in literature. It has nothing to do with development, right? But like, there's nothing to stop you from learning whatever, at any time, at any point.
Yeah. Some of the most prominent figures in tech never got a college degree.
Yeah.
And so because it's a space that moves fast and that appreciates that kind of ingenuity and what have you, that it's not always about a specific credential. It really is about your willingness and interest to be innovative, to work hard, and I find that it's a fun place to be as a result. That you're dealing with people that are driven, that are coming
Always
to
learning.
you with something interesting. That the number of stories and case studies and everyone is trying to do things that are exciting.
Yeah.
It's not.
And they're
mundane.
passionate about it, right? Like they're really passionate about innovation, which is very fun.
Yeah.
So, well, Robert, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for
It's been
having me.
such a pleasure. Yeah, and we'll catch up at the after party. Since now that you're drinking age, we can enjoy a nice drink at the after party.
Sounds good
But
to
I'll
me.
be having a mocktail. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
Hello, Moxie. Say hello, Moxie. And
Hello, Moxie.
I have a little gift bag for you. You can take it home and give it to the women in your life. It has a book in there with stories of the women who've come on the show. So I hope you enjoy. It's been my pleasure to host you. Thank you. All right.
Where's my tea? Where's the tea?
Hello and welcome back. I am so excited. I have been waiting to interview Tien Lan since last night, all day. Even before I came to this conference, I was like, I want to interview her. So thank you so much for coming on the show. First of all, love to have you choose your tea.
Oh yes.
Do you need some positive energy? Do you need some stress relief? What's your mood today?
Maybe. Yeah, energy would be great because there's an after party.
Yes.
And
The after party is so great. It's poolside. It's got Robbie does a fantastic job by the pool. It's amazing. So, Tien Lan, how are you doing? What's
great.
new with you? What's
you.
lighting you up lately? What are you most excited about the conference or just in general? What are you excited about?
yeah, I'm very excited about this conference. My first time was last year, and it's
Same.
Yeah. And I just love the venue, the weather. It has that Imagine feel.
That's what I've heard. I've never been to
Yeah.
Imagine, but I've heard that's the case.
And and our partners are very happy. They get lots of leads, lots of merchants are here, lots of case studies. So yeah, very happy about this event and
Yeah, I love
to
that.
be back.
Yeah, it's always great to come to Florida in the middle of February, right? Escape
Yes.
the cold. So tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and tell us about Huba. Huba is such an exciting, wonderful, innovative product. Tell us about what you're doing and about you and your life. I know you have some really cool hobbies. She's a fantastic musician, by the way.
Spoiler.
So, spoiler alert. So yeah, tell our listeners about you.
Yes, I'm Tien Lan Weber, and I'm French-born Vietnamese. I've been working for 25 years already in lots of different countries and markets. So yeah, I was born and bred in Paris, and then I moved to Australia, moved back to Europe, spent some time in Switzerland, in Norway, and now back in France, on the south coast. Similar weather to here, so that's pretty cool.
Beautiful, yes.
Yeah, I've been in the Magento community since 2016. And before that, I was already in e-commerce. I worked for eBay and PayPal in Australia. And before that, I had 7 years more in offline, in retail and consumer goods. So yeah, I kind of understand the challenges of brand manufacturers and retailers.
Yeah, absolutely. Such deep experience that you have in e-commerce and in the tech space. And I'd love to hear from you as a woman in this space. It can be very male dominated, right? In e-commerce and in tech. What advice would you give to women who may be considering a career in e-commerce
Yeah,
or maybe not even considering a career?
exactly. So that's my point.
Yeah.
So I'm mentoring a couple of teenage girls. So basically, a lot of my friends have teenage girls, and they are looking at career options. A lot of them are attracted by fashion,
Yeah.
cosmetics, and I used to work in fashion and cosmetics. And let me tell you, the culture is not as friendly, collaborative, or inclusive.
Interesting.
And so what I tell them is that you'll feel very comfortable and you'll have a lot of flexibility if you work in e-commerce. So some, they love organizing events and they want to organize, music festivals and so on. But it's a very harsh industry and it's really draining. And I said you could organize events like in e-commerce or work for a payment provider and do amazing booths at NRF, and you feel more rewarded because the company cultures in tech is a lot more what do you call that? So work-life balance is more important. It allows flexibility, mental health. They're more progressive.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard from several women is that in the tech space, there is so much flexibility, which is women is so important because this idea of a 9 to 5 is pretty antiquated, right? Industrial revolution. So I love that in the tech space, women do have a lot of flexibility to work remotely, work, modified hours, and all of that is so special. And I think that's such a really innovative way to kind of teach these younger women that, look, when you think about being in the tech space, there's not just one pathway. It doesn't mean that you necessarily need to be a developer.
Exactly.
Right? There's a lot of other job opportunities that you can pursue that may be more in line with what your natural talents are, gifts are, that you can consider. So I think that's really cool. Yeah. So I'd love to learn more too about, men being allies in the tech space. I've heard some wonderful stories, and I've experienced personally men in this, especially in this Magento community, really stepping up and doing wonderful things to support women. So I'd love to hear if you have advice or stories of experiences where men have been allies. And then what challenges do you think are still present that we should be thinking about, or that men should be thinking about? Yeah.
So I'll be very cheesy, and my biggest ally is my husband.
Oh, love that.
So he cooks, he does the laundry, he looks after the
He
kids.
does the laundry.
Yeah. So when I'm away for a week, it's easy for him. He does everything, and I don't feel guilty at all. And he's checking in, how are you having fun, and how's it going? When he goes, I'm like struggling. I'm like, oh, I have to do the school runs, and because he does those. So when we are both at home, he does the school runs, and he does most of the things. And when he's not there, I'm like, oh, I have to do all that.
So he cooks, he does the laundry, and he does the school runs.
Yes.
And he does it, and you don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah, so he's been supporting me a lot, and that helps.
It helps tremendously.
Yeah.
When you have a good partner to support you in that way, it makes such a huge difference. I can relate to that. My husband is the same. He does the laundry, and he's so great. Like, he gets up in the morning and helps get kids ready too. And it's just such a great support that he, and even like, he like checks in with me. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great time. How did the workshop go? Like, he's just so supportive and wants to see me shine. And I'm sure your husband is the same.
Yeah.
So I think that's great advice. It's like, just any opportunity, men, if you have wives, what can you do to support them with some of the like manual labor, the caretaking, and those kinds of things?
So I have a funny story. So I'm organizing an agency dinner in Berlin, in Germany, and there was one lady who I wanted to invite, and she's a Magento master and so on. And so I asked. So first I asked the agency owner, and he couldn't make it. I said, "Oh, can we invite her?" And he said, "Oh, she's got a young child, and I'm not sure it will be possible." And I said, maybe her husband could babysit. And then he said, I'll ask her. And next thing was her emailing saying, yeah, my husband gave me the green light, I'm coming.
Love that, right?
So yeah, as a man, don't assume, and just make it happen, and encourage husbands to help. And
yes, that's how change happens.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love that. Do you see, like, being in the space, what are the challenges that are still present that you think needs to change, or that you think would be important for women to focus on, just men to focus on? What do you think is there that's still kind of a barrier?
So what we spoke about yesterday at a Women in E-commerce event was lack of confidence.
Yes.
So it's not so much the men, it's the women themselves. They are their worst enemy. And they're like, oh, I'm not going on stage. I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. And so we need to help that. We hear a lot about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
So within my team, we've been, trying to combat that. So one of the tips is we run the Clifton Strengths Finder.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
What are your strengths finder? I want to know yours. Ooh, okay. I'm going to guess strategic.
Not in the top 5.
Not in the top 5. Okay. Achiever.
That would be the rest of the team. Not my.
Ooh, man. Analytical. Is that one of them?
No.
Shoot, I'm failing.
More superficial than that.
Positivity.
Yeah.
I am too. That's so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
So positivity. What else?
Yeah. Communication.
Okay, nope, I
Obviously.
don't have that one yet.
Woo.
I have woo too.
Yeah. I'm not
Positivity
surprised.
and woo.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then my last 2 change. So I've been doing this maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And now it's more maximizer and learner.
Oh, very nice.
But it used to be, so in my the beginning of my career it was more activator and arranger.
Okay.
And after I had kids was more harmony. So yeah, it kind of
shifted
changes.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful, beautiful. So I love that. And just for listeners, the Strengths Finder is a Gallup, right? It's a Gallup tool, and it's a kind of a survey that you take that helps you identify what are your 5 core strengths. So rather than focusing on building your, strengthening your weaknesses, the concept is how can you identify what your strengths are and really lean into those. And so through this tool, you can identify your top 5 strengths.
Yeah.
And so you were saying that you have the women on your team take this. And what have you noticed?
Everyone.
Yeah.
is taking this.
Everyone takes it. Yeah.
And so what's very interesting is that those strengths are natural abilities you were born with.
Yeah.
So, for example, positivity is when you see the glass half full and not half empty. And I thought everyone was like that. And then I realized, oh, not everyone is like that, but it's so easy for me. And then you read that, oh, it motivates everyone, and you come and you say hello and so on. I'm like, that's what I do. Like, it's what people do. And you realize,
Not
no.
everybody thinks
So
that way.
everyone has those strengths that they were born with, that they do naturally without even knowing it, and without spending energy. They gain energy by doing that. And so by knowing that those are strengths, you gain confidence, because it's not something you acquired, not something you learned. You were born with this, so you'll never lose them. So based on that, men, women can build confidence and then build on that in their roles.
I love
And
that.
also understand that some things they're not very good at. So some are introverts. They don't like to, go to events and speak to people. That's fine. I'm here to do that. Sana is here to do that.
Exactly.
But then you are analytical, or you have input, which is like collecting lots of things. Why don't you help us do benchmarks?
yes. So true. I have someone I work on the team with. She's fantastic. She's like the yin to my yang. Everything I suck at, she's fantastic at. Like operations, getting the details done. I start a project and she just finishes it and she like knocks it out of the park,
That's
right?
perfect.
And it's so important to have those complementary skills when you're working on a team. And what a beautiful way to really help the women on your team also gain that confidence so that they can feel comfortable to speak up. Because imposter syndrome, you're right. And I will tell you, I was literally just talking to Paul about this literally before you came over. I was like, I will go up to the women and ask them to come be on the podcast. And they shrink and they hesitate and they don't want to do it. But I will ask the men, and they don't even hesitate, and they come and they sit and they're fine to do it.
Typical.
And I think to myself, like the women that I ask, I'm asking them because I know that they are deeply competent, and I've seen them, and I know that they have so much value to offer. And so I think that's really important. Like you mentioned, that sometimes we're our own worst enemy as women, and so it's important for us to see the possibilities and have the confidence to just step in. You know, so that's really wonderful advice about how, we just need more women speaking up, right? We just do. So I would love to know, okay, who is a woman in history that you love that's really inspired you?
So to be honest, I didn't really have any.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
you asked the questions and I prepared, because that's the type of person I am. And so I thought, maybe Sheryl Sandberg is one. So she's not in history, but she's in tech history. Yeah. And I feel that, she's very confident. She doesn't have that imposter syndrome. She's more senior person with a lot of corporate experience stepping into Facebook. So a startup with a lot of potential. So that's how I feel I am with Huva right now. And also, she uses that confidence to help other women. So Oh, and then she also shared a lot of vulnerabilities and all the
I love that.
Like life events that happened to her, and Plan B and so on. But I really admire her, and
and I can see a lot of similarities to her path and your path. Like you, in many ways, have really shined and excelled in the corporate world the way that she has, which is incredible. And such a, we've talked about a lot, if you can see it, you can be it. And I think you really represent that very, very well. Like you're such a leader in the Magento community. I've seen across the board how much respect everyone has for you and the work that you're doing. And it's really, really cool to see.
So that's the other thing. Women can't take compliments, right?
That's true. But anyway, I just had to say, like, I've noticed that, how respected you are. And I think it's so great for other women to see that in you. Because they can stand on your shoulders, on the people on your team. So thank you.
Thank you.
Such a wonderful role model.
Aww.
And what are your 5 strengths again? Let's see. You said positivity and woo, which we both share.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. I'm like so jazzed that I share 2 strengths with you. That's like lights my whole, I'm like all lit up by that. And then maximizer, you said, learner and maximizer.
Yeah.
And then the other one was it harmony?
Communication.
Communication.
Obviously.
Yes, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank
Do you
you for
have
having
any
me.
final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
No, just be confident, enjoy everything that happens to you in life, and
enjoy everything that happens to you in life. What wise words from someone whose strength is positivity, right? Like, I think that's great. We're all going to have bad days and bad times in our lives, but it's so important to We've got someone behind our video camera right here who's just anyway. I forgot what my thought was, but anyway, thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
and I hope you
you.
enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah, I will.
And I will see you poolside. We'll share a drink.
I'm at the club.
And I will be at the club tonight. I will be there this
Love
year.
dancing.
Yes,
Love
I will
music.
I will be dancing with you. So let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of the conference. And let's go see if we can find someone else to interview. Yeah? We'll be right back. All right. Okay. Okay, we're back and we are closing out this amazing, amazing day at Meet Magento, Florida. I hope you really enjoyed the wonderful conversations we had. We heard so many diverse perspectives from people around the world sharing all about this e-commerce world and sharing all these wonderful stories about how women can break into tech and advice and how men can be allies and what women in history they've been inspired by. And man, it's been so much fun. And thank you so much for tuning in. Love this conference. I just have to give a special shout out to Ravi. He's the founder of Rave Digital and Aheadworks. He is such a wonderful example of being an ally in this space and very supportive. And I'm just really grateful to him for giving us the opportunity to be here at this event and to let us share these messages and bring forward some amazing voices of some incredible women. And that wouldn't have been possible without him and Nicole and the Rave Digital team. And I'm just so inspired. I'm so inspired by all of the stories that I've gotten to hear today from these incredible women and men, and the stories that they've shared of their mothers and their grandmothers and their daughters and their wives. And it's just really lit me up to just see what an impact that women are having in very quiet, humble ways around the world. And I hope by listening today, you feel encouraged and inspired to, if you're a woman, to speak up more, to stand in your voice and be confident and use it confidently. And if you're a man, to do everything possible that you can to support the women in your life and help them speak and live with confidence. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you later. Hello, Moxie. Okay. All right.